Sorry.
Hi.
Hey!
Welcome. This is so bad. Welcome to this week's episode of Bad Breaches. I'm Joy.
I'm Justin.
And today we have a guest. Guess who are you?
Who are you?
I'm Frederick.
Hi,
And,
Yeah, go ahead, Frederick.
Just remember, we're not saying anything that's super identifying.
Okay.
So-
Well, I went to the same undergrad as Justin, actually.
We did.
Unfortunately, never knew each other. in
Yeah,
undergrad.
but now we're best friends.
Yeah, we are.
Well, adjacent. We sit next to each other in a class. Okay, let's not go off the rails here.
We give each other.
You're the
we
one
give
that
each
said
other
you were best
glances.
Yeah. Okay, I know, but okay. That's embarrassing. Cool. So today we're gonna talk about. We kind of touched on this before, but we're gonna do a deep dive on the public interest, big law dichotomy.
This is big for me.
You know,
I'm very
Frederick.
interested in this.
Frederick brought that to us, and he has a.
I would just like to point out that there are other private firms other than like big law firms.
Okay,
but
so do you wanna-
This episode will primarily be focusing on like big law v public interest. We definitely understand that there are other things out there.
Yes, it is.
Please do not tweet us and be like, you guys didn't talk about boutique firms. That's just not what this conversation's about.
Yes, these are the two.
Don't All Life Matters, my podcast.
Oh my god.
And you can take that to the bank. No. These are just the two that are talked about most often, especially among 1Ls.
Yeah.
And they're like two of the ones that are like pushed pretty strongly in law school. So we're going to talk about them. Also, it's our podcast, so we can do whatever the fuck we want.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, Frederick, this is something you...
Yeah, this is actually something I'm very interested in because when I was considering going to law school, I initially came into it thinking I don't want to do the private life. I want to work for a public interest firm and be a bleeding heart and work 40 hours a week, 9 to 5, and then get $40,000 a year. And then I got to law school and I was like, okay, maybe not. But I still definitely want to do public interest. So this is a very big topic.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Okay, what are your takes on it?
Very much the same. I, did a lot of social justice stuff in undergrad, and I was really politically active. So it's just weighing those things against I work really hard every day, and I'm struggling, and I'm in debt, and how do I want the rest of my life to look?
Right?
Yeah. So it's just a
it's
lot.
hard right now. I don't know if I want to do only $40,000 a year type of work.
Yeah. I say that I'm coming from a very similar thing. Well, actually, no, I'm not. I don't know why I said that. That's a lie. I've wanted to be a lawyer since I was 12. And then there was amount of time where I was super skeptical about that, for maybe a year or two. But even when I was 12, I kind of knew that my version of being a lawyer was not helping people. I don't want to say not helping people because you're always helping people. But it was never a bleeding heart, I want to do good in the world type of thing. And it was always more of I was really interested in business law.
Yeah.
And corporate law and that kind of thing. So this conversation is always really interesting to me. I think that there was a point in time in college where I considered maybe doing public interest. But I just think that that's something that I could do maybe later in life, but definitely not right out of law school.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of moved that direction for me too. Still having the drive and the passion to want to be holding people's hands and helping them in their darkest moment.
Right.
But also I'm developing the skills necessary to do other things. So
Yeah. Might as well use them.
yeah, no, it's just about trying to balance the heart of wanting to be helping people and be working for legal aid or some nonprofit.
Right.
And also putting my skills to a use that will help me be financially stable.
Right.
Help me raise a family, all these other things.
Oh, see, it's almost been the exact opposite for me.
Really?
Because I came into this thinking, well, it's going to be a lot of work, but I can make a lot of money at the end. And then I came in and I was thinking, this is, I've been wanting to do public interest, and I'm starting to read what we're doing, think about how it applies to the real world. And also, seeing what happens right now.
Yeah.
if anything, now more than ever, I want to work for the government or like work for a big public interest firm and like be that person who like makes a change, like helps a lot of people. So like, yeah.
I think I want to do something that's like fairly middle of the road. So when I say that I want to do big law, I'm not saying that I want to like represent like corporations and like a mass tort claim. Like I don't want to actively do bad. But I also don't think that like just running like a cost benefit analysis, I don't think that like doing public interest is something that's going to be worth it enough for me to like put off all of these other things. Also, this is like a lot of emotional damage right now, and I need to be compensated accordingly.
Yeah, it's traumatic.
Fair,
well, also,
fair.
I mean, it's the same thing as the like, is science inherently evil, or is it how you use it? So like, obviously, you're not going to be like doing products liability like cases where you're like representing some company that
Like Monsanto.
like something crazy that they
Check back with me in 10 years.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not doing that.
Well,
that is not the plan.
You could end up being a Supreme Court justice if you represent Monsanto. But just it's just hard.
It is.
It's hard.
It is. But then at the same time, so you're like, this is a lot of work right now. But I think that that's also something that like you kind of have to deal with, because I've heard in a lot of ways that like big law is just like law school.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, this really sucks right now. But maybe it'll suck a little bit less when I'm getting paid for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Is that what you're
Absolutely.
paying for it?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Like when you're having that moment, you're like, oh, I don't want to do. Oh.
That check though.
That check though, yeah. So I definitely think that's part of it. And I mean, just weighing, I've said that like 42 times, I know, but you also get like different experience doing different things.
Right.
So there's like, if you want to like be in a courtroom, those experiences come, I think, quicker in public interest fields, or they tend to. Like if you're working
Absolutely.
for
I mean,
like
you go to
legal
like
aid,
a public defender's office, you're in the courtroom like hundreds of times a year.
because they need bodies.
But
Whereas if you're in like a big law firm, I don't think you enter a court or you actually argue something in the courtroom until like you're 4 or 5 years in.
at the same time, I do think that a lot of public interest work, because of that, is more of like trial by fire. And then I think that you would get like a lot better at certain skills in big law because you're not really doing anything else. So like you're going to be really good at like the paperwork, like transactional side of law, and maybe that is also a good thing.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's not a good thing.
I'm just trying to
just some
provide a
people
well-rounded
absolutely know that they want to be in a courtroom.
Right.
And I can't imagine, I mean, that's probably interesting, but like I'm not super like gung-ho about that, but I can't imagine wanting to be in a courtroom and then being stuck in an office for however long
being
before
stuck
they
in a
finally
windowless office on like the 42nd floor of God knows where from like 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. Monday through Sunday.
Frederick obviously has a lot of opinions.
I have a lot of
So many.
But just, I can't imagine that being like my bread and butter, wanting to do that and then being stuck in an office all the time.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think another thing that is a very real thing that's kind of scary are loans.
Oh god.
Right? So like at the same time you're like, oh, it's a lot of hours and that's super stressful, but like what's more stressful to you? The fact that like you're not making as much money as you could be making and you have to pay off these loans.
That's more
and who knows like when this public interest loan repayment thing is, how long that's going to be around. Or are you willing to sacrifice that to like be able to pay off your loans, but also like possibly live a very miserable life?
Economically miserable.
No. Like, so you're either economically miserable or like you're actually miserable
Like you
in
never
the
see
fact
kids.
that like I'm probably, fingers crossed, I'm not having kids for a while. So like this is not a problem. But like,
Yeah, I mean, I've been poor like forever.
Right.
So I'm tired of it.
exactly, that's what I'm
Retweet.
saying.
Yeah.
Retweet.
So I'm absolutely. I think this is a thing for me. I have like been warring back and forth about whether or not it's selfish for me to not pursue a public interest field that I'm passionate about because of the economics. And I've determined that no, it is not selfish for me to want to be stable in my own life after I've spent however many years studying both in undergrad and in law school. so to anyone that needed to hear that, it's not selfish for you to want to be like standing on your feet and not like poor and destitute trying to pay off loans in a job that's not making you enough money.
See, I think
Also,
that's a really
so what
good
if
point.
it is?
Also
Like,
that.
it is your life. It is okay to be selfish. It is okay to say, I don't need to spend every moment of my life trying to help other people. And I think that, like, especially people that want to do public interest have this huge problem with, like, this Superman complex where you're like, I have to save everyone and be everything for everyone. And that is such an unhealthy way to live your life. So if you do that, you're also going to feel that kind of pull that you feel in Big Law, because you're always going to be like, I could be doing more. Like, you can't help everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Also, how are you going to help other people if you're not a whole human yourself?
Right. Well, how am I going to be, like, how would I even properly be doing my job if I'm spending half of my time worrying about money?
Exactly. Or, like, you're just, like, not going to be completely present. And I don't know. That's like a trade-off that you have to be willing to make.
See, I think it's Justin, you have a very good point about.
I generally do.
I think you have a good point about, like, you want to be stable, and I think that's a super, big issue that going into public interest has. But I also think that, like, the public interest loan forgiveness, the public service loan forgiveness program.
What is it, 10 years?
Yeah, 10 years. And there are also a lot of law schools over the nation. I think it's some of the top 14 schools. If you make under like $60,000 a year, they pay off your entire, they make your entire loan payment.
But our school's not one of them.
Our school's not, okay, that doesn't help us specifically, but people all over the nation, I mean, there are, not top 14 schools, but just below that, or even way below that, or which have a very big focus towards public interest jobs, and so I think it's not like completely unfeasible to go to law school with a lot of debt, or go through law school with a lot of debt, and be able to take public interests and be able to pursue those passions and still make it.
Yeah, I mean, I could do that. But I've done the math. I've done the hand formula, the cost benefit analysis, and I mean, I would just spend the rest of my life in debt.
Oh, see, you and me, we're screwed.
Yeah,
we're screwed if we do
would
public interest. But there are a lot of other people who can do it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm definitely not saying don't do it. I'm just saying if you are battling between wanting to do it and not wanting to feel selfish, you're not selfish for not pursuing public interest because you want to live a comfortable life.
I think that you should be selfish in all areas of your life that will make you happy. Not at the expense of, directly screwing someone else over. But, if you know that you are going to be a more happy, healthy, well-rounded individual by doing one thing instead of doing the other thing.
Well, that's the thing. I think that some people think they would be happy, if that was where they were putting their energy, but they're trying to weigh that against being poor in the other half of their life. So it's not just oh, I will be happy if I do Big Law, and I'm selfish if I don't do public interest. I think I would be happy doing public interest, but I don't want to be poor.
Yeah. And I think there are a lot of people who feel that the inner desire to help others or to make a difference, and I think that you can make a much bigger difference by being in Big Law, or not by being in Big Law, by being working.
The quiet part out loud.
It's been a long week, but you can make a much bigger difference, I think, by being in a public interest firm or by working for the government. And being in those positions, won't pay as much, but it can fulfill a lot of those desires that I think a lot of people have, especially for people who go to law school. We don't come here because we just want to hang out. We come here because we want to build these very valuable skills and make a difference.
Imagine if this was a hangout?
I think all the people that came here to hang out have officially dropped out.
Well, you just have to be into BDSM or something like that, because
where's the line?
It just reminds me of Elle Woods. It's hard.
No, okay, I hate that so much, and I know that was a little quip or a joke, but I think that law school and the media really paints this as something that's it's chill. And I think a lot of people go to law school when they're I want to do something that is a lofty ambition, but maybe I'm not good at science, so I can't.
Yeah, it's
go to med
prestigious,
school.
but it's not like a doctor.
right? Like, or I haven't like figured out something to do and it's junior year and like the clock is ticking. So like, I guess I'll go to law school.
Yeah.
Do not do that.
Don't.
This is not worth it if you don't care about the law.
This should not be a fallback plan.
This should be your goal from like
Yeah.
day one.
This should be your, that's what I'm going to do.
Now,
Literally.
granted, I found out that I wanted to go to law school at the end of my sophomore year of college. So it's not like you need to figure it out from like when you were age 12.
Same, thereabouts.
But like, you know, don't come up to like senior year and decide, I guess I'm going to go to law school.
Yeah, this isn't like getting a master's where
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
I'll just take it, you know?
No shade to anybody that's getting a master's.
I mean, a little bit of shade if you
little
think
bit
it's
of shade.
comparable.
A little bit of shade.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to make sure that none of our listeners feel isolated. So just remember that it's always Justin isolating
At
you.
me.
They don't have your at.
No,
So
no. Just tweet at Bad Breaches and then just put
say other Justin
Justin.
Frederick, you guys suck.
yeah.
I included myself there.
Yeah, please do it.
So I think another thing to consider is I think your time is drained when you do big law, but I think you're going to be emotionally drained if you do public interest.
Absolutely.
And I would challenge anyone that feels like they want to do public interest to like actually spend like an adequate amount of time like doing things with people that like you would like to work with as you were a lawyer, because like as someone who spent my last year doing that, I know for sure that like that is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like it is draining, it's always on your mind, and you like if that is okay for you as a person, then
Like if you
go
can
for
separate
it.
those things.
Yeah, like
So
if
yeah,
you're,
that's where I want to push back on you, because I think that a lot of people.
you want to push back on how I feel?
Yeah.
Okay. Go right ahead.
I think that a lot of people think that, you know, when you go into public interest that, you know, helping others becomes your entire life, and that you can't step away from it, or that it'll emotionally drain you. But, you know, I worked in a public interest law firm for 2 years, for 2 summers in undergrad, and I worked for the government my last semester. And, you know, I was working with those people that I would be working with as a lawyer, and it's amazing because you see these. I thought it was amazing because you see, you know, I thought what was the epitome of what you want people to be like who just need your help. I remember I was talking to the public interest lawyer I was working under in my second year at the public interest firm, and she remarked to me that, you know, these people that we were working with, our clients, were just the epitome of what you want the American dream to be like. You know, they're hardworking, they're doing their best to achieve their dreams, and they're not, you know, they're doing honest hard work, and they just need your help because they ran into some problem in the system. And so that's why I think that, you know, doing public interest work can be really not emotionally draining, but emotionally uplifting, I think.
I think it can.
Yeah, well, there's just a lot of types.
Yeah, and I think that it really depends on what you want to do. For someone who like me wanted to do child advocacy, I'm going to push back on you. So, thanks.
I think it's a type of public interest work you got.
Yeah, so like I said, I think that it depends on you and what specifically you want to do, and you have to kind of weigh what you want to do for yourself. So if you want to do something that's like public interest but it's not super like emotionally draining, then that's very different than like wanting to constantly be like drained.
Yeah, so you should do like a recommendation there is to pursue a clinic that your law school has.
Yeah.
Yes.
Around an issue you think you're interested in, because then if you realize, oh shit, I don't think I have enough of me to give to that.
Yeah.
Right.
You can just do it for a semester and then
Right. And then
not
you're
have
like,
to do it
okay,
again.
thanks.
Yeah.
Never have to do that again.
I would also say just remember that a clinic isn't necessarily what it's going to be like as a practicing attorney, mainly because it's like a semester and you're not doing it for the amount of time a week that you would be working. So just be cognizant
just
of that.
extrapolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the big thing is that just know what you're getting into. Don't have some, you know, idea that this is all going to be great because I'm helping people. There are obvious drawbacks to that. I mean, especially when you're working with child advocacy or, you know, family law or stuff like that, or even with, you know, criminal work, that could be really draining if you can't, if you get, you know, emotionally drained by hearing what happens in the worst case scenarios. So I think it's a lot about just know what you're getting into.
Yeah, don't listen to season 3 of Serial and think, oh yeah, I know what that's like.
I would also kind of advise you to maybe just like really examine why you want to do it. Like if this is like a people need my help thing, then like maybe really examine why these people need your help. Are we having like a little bit of a savior complex? Like what does that mean? Like let's
unpack that a little bit.
Like let's really just come from a place of like being pure and not like a place where it's like a little bit like patronizing and like these people need me, because at the end of the day there's probably someone else who is willing to do your job. So
All right.
just remember that. Okay, so
I actually want to say something good.
Oh.
I think that public
You wanna
interest
say something
has
good?
over Big Law.
okay.
I think the office culture is very good in public interest frames versus Big Law. Let's look at Suits, for example.
The show?
Yeah, the show.
Did we not just talk about how like there's okay, sure, let's talk about Suits.
I've never seen Suits.
You never seen Suits?
No, I have
well,
time to do
it's
other things.
it's this wonderful show. I love Harvey Specter in it. It's about this like high-powered New York law firm.
Okay.
And every single scene.
New York City or New York State?
New York City.
I'm just kidding. No,
They're in Manhattan.
Both.
They're in Manhattan. They're high-powered. law
Okay,
firm.
cool.
And like every scene is a really high-pressure work scenario.
Wait,
and
are you basing your entire answer off of a television show?
of course not.
Okay.
Of course
Okay,
not.
sorry.
But
I
like,
just wanted to,
you know,
we were going to nip it in the bud.
The stereotype for big law firms is that it's sort of like a rat race where your first few years are you have to beat out all your other associates so that you can be the one who makes partner, and then if you make partner several years in, then you're there all the time. You never know who your kids are. You never know your kids' names or who they are. Whereas it's like in public interest, there can be like very emotionally draining times, but also you can check out at the end of the day and you have a steady paycheck, and everyone there has like a common interest,
Yeah, I mean, one of our professors gave a talk the other day about his journey from home to law school, and he talked about like sometimes his wife would bring him clothes to his job, to his big law firm, and he'd just spend the night because he was working like
He
so
literally
late.
sleep under his desk.
Yeah, sleep under his desk, and that was like an expectation.
Yeah.
So it's not just like something he did above and beyond. Like that was like there.
Yeah, but so I don't think that that's like a good enough reason to like be hesitant about it, because I also think that some people are like that's something that like I'm okay with. So
Right.
I think it's like
Okay.
important to know like what you are fine like trading off. So like I am totally fine staying at the office. I think that like I thrive in situations where like it's super competitive and you're like constantly pushing yourself to be better. And I don't necessarily think that I thrive in situations where everything is like a little bit more laid back.
That's good to know.
I also think that like the mobility is a lot like I would argue that a lot more doors are open to you if you start at Big Law and then you can like transition somewhere else, where I'm not saying that like you can't go from public interest to Big Law, but it's like a little bit easier to go the other way.
See, actually, I've heard the exact opposite. So I've heard that it is sort of like in how you learn. With public interests, how I've heard this from lawyers I've been talking to. I have no experience with this because I'm a law student.
Go on.
But with Big Law, you are learning how to do things perfectly for the first few years, and you can sort of get sort of cornered into or pigeonholed into a particular interest or particular area of the law, which is good. You become an expert on that almost. Contracts professor got sort of pigeonholed into doing contracts litigation, and that's good, but that wasn't exactly what I don't think he was interested in first. And all of a sudden he became an expert in contracts, but you talk to him about torts or products liability or stuff like that, and wasn't very easy for him to switch those interests. Versus where you're in, you know, public interest, and especially if you're like a public defender or a public prosecutor, you get to know different areas of the law really, really well, and you get a lot of experience in understanding those different areas of the law. And so I think I've heard that big law firms actually, you know, enjoy having that wide experience, and that you're able to go to big law after a few years in public interest or after some time in public interest. But it's really hard for public interest firms to want you if you've already been pigeonholed into one area of the law. Like you're great at contracts, but how are you going to help us when we have a sex crimes case come in the door, you know?
I think that's fair to an extent. I think that if you are a big law first, you're probably like better at like the minutia. So like you're better at like writing a brief, or you're better at this. And typically, not always, like people at big law, like I personally want to do a clerkship. And so like I want to do like a clerkship, and then I want to go to big law. And I'm not saying I want to like go to like a public interest firm or like do that, but I don't necessarily want to be in big law for my entire life. And I think that you're better at like the technicalities, which is like really important if you want to be like an attorney general or like something like that. And I think that I'm trying to figure out a very specific way to phrase this. Prestige matters just in law in general. So like if you're like, oh, I was at a public interest firm that's like okay, is like a little bit less of a weight than like, oh, I was like at an okay big law firm.
I would disagree.
Okay.
Because I absolutely, okay, we're not going to do the Joy and Frederick argue back and forth shit. But I mean, it just depends on like what you're doing. So like if you go from like public interest, like say you're being a public defender to Goldman Sachs, they're probably not going to look at you the same way as if you're coming from like Jones Day or some big firm to Goldman Sachs. So that, I think, it's all relative to where you are and where you're going. Yeah. Just like literally anything.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So
I think they open different doors. I think that neither one opens more or less. They just open different doors.
Probably, yeah. Like if I wanted to work at the ACLU, maybe I'd start at like public defending and like doing something, you know?
I think most of the lawyers come from big law.
Probably. Fuck, I don't know.
I don't think so.
They do.
They look a lot at you wanting to actually stay there. So I don't know. I think it opens different doors.
What's next, guys? Oh, let's talk about what it's like in law school. I mean, we kind of have it right here in front of me. The stereotypes of like the person that wants to do big law versus the person that's like, let's do public interest, let's help the world.
Yeah. I think...
Like, what have you seen? Like, what do you think is...
I think that, like, the stereotype is that if you want to do big law, that, you don't really care about anything other than money. And I don't necessarily think that that's true. And
I agree with that.
That people think that people that want to do big law are typically, like, categorized as, like, more cutthroat than people that want to do public interest, and that people that want to do public interest are, like, more laid back, and they're like, oh, I don't care about the grades. And I don't think that, like, either of those are true.
Yeah, right.
Like, I don't think it's a dichotomy. I think that there's, like, a mixture.
I think that's a problem with, of course, stereotypes in general are usually don't, show the entire population. But I think that, in particular, big law stereotypes are very off the mark because, we are here suffering a lot. Like, I don't know how many times you guys have cried, but I've cried a lot because of law school.
I haven't cried yet.
And if I'm not adequately rewarded for
What about
this,
law school?
okay,
Yeah,
weird
like
flex.
Harry
Yeah, I cried about Harry Potter.
Weird flex.
It's accurate.
But I think it's really off the mark, and I think it's very disingenuous to say that people who want to be adequately rewarded for our work and our effort in law school by going to a big law firm are cutthroats or don't care about anything else other than money.
Yeah.
I think that's ludicrous.
I agree.
Not to say that there aren't people in law school who are only doing it for the money, but also that's not like So what? Like, if they can do it,
Right.
and they want to get
Wouldn't
paid.
you? Also, I think at the same time, like, I know that we keep talking about debt, but that's just like literally always in the back of our minds. And you know what? If I wanted to make $40,000 to $50,000 a year, I could like go be a teacher, and I wouldn't have to rack up all of this debt.
Yeah.
Like, let's just be real for a second.
And you're also able to like do really good pro bono work in a
Yeah.
big law firm.
Yeah. Well, and there are like, I think that there are always ways that you can help people.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be like through your work. If that's something that is important to you, then I encourage you to explore that. But if it's not, then realize that you can do it in another way.
Mm-hmm.
Also, with the public interest stereotype, I think it's very dumb because it sort of says, the people who want to do public interest are dumb, which I think is really, really bad because, wow, I've met, some of the smartest people I've ever met in public interest jobs. I mean, my professional mentor works at the DOJ and is like widely looked upon as from among her peers as like one of the smartest
Yeah.
people.
Well, all at the same time, we're all in law school. We're all at the same law school. So
Right.
like,
Well, I think that like that myth arose from the fact that like if you want to do big law, it's always on the back of your mind that like you need to be top 10%, like you need to be this. But like with public interest, there's such an array of like types of public interest work and like the qualifications that you need, so you tend to all get like lumped together, and that's not like having a certain GPA isn't necessarily a requirement for like some public interest jobs. That's not true for all of them, obviously. Like there are public interest jobs where they want you to be like top 10 12%, but like I don't know, it's just
I also think that like even at some of the like the public defender type firms, you can meet some of the most brilliant lawyers there. I mean, when I was at my first internship with a public interest firm, I met a Harvard law grad, and she clerked for a federal judge after law school and is working part-time with like a national public interest firm too. So like you meet a lot of different people, and I think what Joy said with having a wide array is
yeah. I mean, is the implicit assumption that big law firms get the best because they require the best work, whereas public interest doesn't require the best work? Like, is that the stereotype?
I guess.
Sorry, that just like arose to me.
Maybe. I mean, there's a lot more focus on do you actually have the passion, or do you actually, care about the stuff that we're doing with the public interest?
I just mean that insofar as like, as the stereotype being like, oh, you were on the top of your class, so you did public interest. Like, you didn't really have a choice in what you were gonna do.
no, I don't. I think that this stereotype more is from, personally to me, people that want to do big law tend to be more high strung.
Okay.
And they tend to be more vocal about their goals.
Feel that.
And people that are public interest are typically like not as vocal, because like for big law, at the end of the day, like if you're not top 10%, like you're not getting an OCI, they're not looking at you. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to mass mail. It's like different. And I think with public interest, that is a thing that matters, but they also look at you holistically as a person. And big law doesn't necessarily do that as much.
Okay.
It's also easier to see the people who want to do big law than the people who want to do public interest, because public interest people don't, very often fly under the radar.
Yeah, because they're not talking about it every 4 seconds like Joy. I mean, like, no, like Joy just said, sorry.
I was like, oh my
I
god.
was like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, I don't want to come for your throat.
Since when? Okay, so do you guys want to talk about like the work-life balance piece of kind of like Professor Sivpro said?
Yeah.
You like
That killed me. I wrote that in my book.
literally like work-life
yeah,
balance
I do
is
too.
like just pay people to do the things that you don't want to do. Like
Yeah.
that is like work-life balance.
What she said before that was, she said work-life balance is crap.
Yeah,
It's not real.
true.
She said,
School life balance is
yeah,
crap.
this
So
is.
like
She said, just pay people when you have the money. Pay people to do the things that you don't want to do or don't have the time to do.
fair. But like how are you going to do that with public interest?
Well, you don't have you
Like,
you don't have to stay at the firm until 10 p.m.
okay, but like you're still gonna have like other parts of your life.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
You can
So,
handle
like,
them a lot better if you don't have to stay there until 10 p.m. every night.
Well, I'm just saying I don't need friends if all of my friends are at work.
Okay, well,
So-
what if you have friends that don't work with you? Then they're no longer your
This
friends.
is clearly an argument that was happening off recording.
Just like shoot me a text, be like, hey, what's up? And I'll be like, I can hang out with you in 6 months on this date at this time. And that's fine. We'll
So
do
what
that.
you're saying is we either have to work at the same firm or never see you
Yeah,
again.
or we're no longer your friends.
I just don't see how that's different than like a public interest firm. Like, one, we're probably not all gonna live in the same city.
I don't
So
think about that yet.
Okay,
So,
yeah,
like,
don't tell me that. Don't tell me that.
realistically-
Yeah, I know.
we're not gonna see each other anyway. Also, how is that different than right now? All of your friends are in this building.
Okay,
if I
but
want to
law
see a friend, I
school-
go down to a study room and I'm
Okay,
like, hey,
listen,
what's up?
law school is different though because we all have to put in all that time and effort, and in law school it's sort of like a pressure cooker, you know. And you were saying that big law is sort of like a continuance of
Law school.
law school. Public interest firms. I mean, yes, there are days where you're working there late, but it's not the norm to be there from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. So you're able to do stuff after work, and you're able to see friends in the same city. Maybe it's not all the same people from law school, but maybe you have friends from undergrad. Maybe you make friends after law school.
Okay.
You're able to see people that you don't work with. And I
Okay.
think that's very important.
But realistically, like, let's just be real for a second. Let's say you get off
I
at
thought
5.
that was pretty realistic.
You get off at 5, you're going to sleep at 10. Are you going to go hang out with a friend
Well-
after work? Or are you going to go home, do the shit that you need
I
to
don't-
do that I'm paying someone else to do? So it's not different.
I don't think the focus on friends is like the most productive part of this.
Also,
I
you
think
can hang out with friends
Fuck
on
a
the
friend.
weekend.
Just kidding. I love all of my
Oh my
friends.
God.
I think it would be
Good to know.
easier.
Good to know.
I think public interest provides more flexibility. Like
Okay.
you can I see it being more difficult to like date, for instance, if you're in big law, if you're like working those like long hours.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you're like in a relationship, like the taxing on your relationship as far as like just being away compared to like public interest. If you're doing like a regular 9 to 5, you come home, have dinner with your
You can
whoever.
come home. You have $1 million
marry an
apartment in
investment
downtown
banker, so
Manhattan that you never see.
You're gonna marry a who? An investment banker?
Yeah, they have the same hours.
How?
Boom.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, when are you
Honestly,
gonna see them?
that's
On your
probably-
wedding day?
They have the same hours, so it's not like, oh.
So
he's
that's
running-
that 2-hour increment from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. where you're both free.
It's gonna be perfect.
I'm just saying. There's not much work-life balance in big law. It's just work and then work more.
Realistically,
And then work more.
I don't see that much of a difference.
And then work a little bit
between
more.
getting off at 5 and getting off at 10. Like,
Okay,
what are
but you won't
really
be getting
doing
off at
in
10.
those 5
Some
hours?
days you'll be getting off at midnight. Some days you'll be staying there all night. You'll be sleeping under the desk.
I don't have a life. Like, okay, think about it. Like, I've been having a crazy schedule since high school. Like, my life has been literally jam-packed since high school. I've become accustomed to it. If I have too much time, I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? Like, the world's gonna stop. I would rather be busy all the time than, like, go home and chill from 5 to 10.
I think that's a very
That's
good.
fair.
I think that's a very good way of seeing how your life is. If that's how you want things, then that's perfect. You know.
Yeah. Cool. So we'll be right back.
Oh,
Okay.
Cool. So we're recording.
Okay, so do you guys have any hot takes?
We'll let Frederick get first to the guest. Ready? Do you have any hot
Okay.
takes?
Yes, I have a hot take.
What is it?
And this is.
It better be
based-
searing.
This is based off of some conversations I've had over the past few weeks.
Okay.
Listen, spending 16 to 20 hours a day at the library is ludicrous. It's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. And I realize that I'm coming from a place of almost hypocrisy because I get here at like 6:30 in the morning and leave at like 8 p.m. And like I've left here at like 9:30 some days. But also I work it out because I usually don't work on weekends, and I think that the people who
What day is it, Fred?
Yeah, wait.
You were here yesterday, Fred.
Okay, hold
How
on.
do you
It's different
spend
because
60
we're gearing up for finals, and I won't be able to do anything next weekend. So I work out a balance where there's some days I work longer, so that other days I can work shorter. But I think the people that work like 16 to 20 hours a day and don't like, and that's normal for them, I think that's too much. And I think at that point, I don't know what you're trying to do, but it's like you're trying to memorize a recipe book. You know, you're not trying to like understand how to make it. You're just trying to memorize every single letter in there.
One, I'm going to challenge you because I don't think this is a genuine hot take because you're literally always here. Two, who are we to say that someone was here too long?
Fucking hate this podcast.
If you need to be at the library for 20 hours to like feel good about do it. Get your 3 hours of sleep. I don't give a shit. It's your time. You're a grown ass human. Do whatever you have to do.
Okay,
You know
yes,
saying?
but you know, there has to be at some point you have to realize like, okay, I'm spending 5 hours to read the same 5 pages. And you need to like, I don't know.
One, how do you know what you're doing? Two, the fact that you get here at 6:30 and the library opens at 7 does not lend credibility to your argument.
Okay, I get here and I start working in our torts classroom because it's nice and quiet and people don't come until 8 a.m. and it's great.
Okay.
And we have 24/7 access to the
This
law library.
hot take, we don't. We have
To the law school.
I think that this hot take is invalid.
I think you're
because
invalid.
This is my podcast and I can say what I want.
My hot take adjacent to that. Wait, what did I write down? Okay, I have a one comment on Fred's, then I'll have something to say. One reason I don't spend time I don't study in the library, period, is because it is not always productive. I'm a very social person, and so if I'm sitting at a table with people that I know, and I know fucking everyone in our section, like, they're all there. I'm gonna read something, I'm gonna like laugh because it's like from 1800 and they say a weird word over and over again, and then I'm gonna look and be like, hey, have you read for contracts yet? Look at this fucking word that they keep saying, and how do they not laugh? Like, come best is the name of this guy's name. Like, come on, and I see on Instagram all the time people playing in the library, and like talking about spending all their time there. So my thing is, if I was going to be spending all that time not in my own fucking house, it would be more productive.
Well, I would like to say that I sit at a table alone, and I don't like to sit with other people.
That would be what I'd have to do if I was going to do it.
And I try not to talk to people because I know I personally am a distraction and I get distracted very easily. So I just need to remove myself.
I'm both of those things also.
Right.
Yeah.
But like some days I'm like really determined to be a distraction, so I'll like get up and walk around.
Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
But like most days I won't do that.
And I just don't need that around me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't do it. But my real hot take is cold calls. Okay. Really, I don't know. There's not a lot of structure to what I'm about to say. I just want to say some things. So maybe this is more of an Ipsy Dixit. But
have it wherever you want.
I need you.
Ipsy Dixit is hot. Is a hot take.
Okay, cool. I need you. We are very far in the semester. Mm-hmm. We're pretty 12 days of class left.
Literally 12 days.
Oh wait, now we're inaccurate in the other podcast. Oh no, it's fine.
No, we just
yeah. Okay.
12 days of Christmas, more like 12 days of hell.
We'll get to Christmas in a minute though. But we're very far into the semester. We should all know what our professors expect out of cold calls at this point.
Preach.
Mm-hmm. So you should not be spending 5 minutes going over the facts of the case.
Oh my god.
on a contract case when we only care about like one tiny part.
You know what he's looking
like,
for.
There's one issue in this fucking case, and you're talking about the 12 years where he lived with his uncle and none of
cousins.
Yes.
And then he killed someone, and you're like, no one
cares. And then
cares.
he moved to Kentucky. None of that shit fucking matters.
If I hear one more person read 2 paragraphs, word by word, for the facts of the case, excuse me.
Treat yourself. Invest in Quimby if you don't want to read the case. And just print out the Quimby brief.
Just give me the broad strokes. I don't need to know what fucking hill in Scotland these people died on.
Hey, Justin,
okay?
There.
What color was the font?
In contracts, if it says anything about that fucking font, write it down. Because that is the one thing that I'm like, okay, that's fine. But like, literally, how much money was involved? Like, what goods were involved? What kind of like damages are they
What
seeking?
kind of contract was it?
Is it like in equity or law?
Yeah.
Like, these are what we're looking for.
Yes. And even sometimes only one of those, depending on what you're talking about. Like, I don't know how your professors work, but our professor, he tells us, okay, tomorrow we're going to be talking about promissory estoppel.
Right.
So should you be talking about like the covenant not to compete? No, you shouldn't fucking go into that. You should know what our professors want. You should be able to give the facts concisely, the relevant facts. And then when our professor asks, so what happened next? You should know the fucking answer.
Also, like, the thing about that is our contracts book, like, when there's a heading above the case.
There's literally
like,
headings.
It lets you know. And then on top of that, there's a study guide. So you're telling me that you didn't read the study guide that has all the questions that he pulls the questions from? Have you noticed that?
Yes.
It's like,
Yes,
why
because
is
I've been
this-
paying attention.
So,
Civil
literally,
procedure professor does the exact same
Yes.
thing.
read the study guide and be like, oh, this is what he's looking for. But don't do like the posturing thing where like, I'm trying to prove to you I read the case.
We
No
know
one
you
cares.
fucking read it. Everyone
And
read
you're
it.
wasting our time too. When we are getting to the end of class and we got like 5 minutes left, we still haven't gone through like 2 big concepts because you felt like you needed to read what happened 20 years before the breach or what happened between cousin A and cousin B that's completely unrelated to the case.
Also,
You're canceled.
Don't fight the hypo.
Really.
Just let it happen. Your professor is using you. When you're getting caught on, you're being used as a tool to teach the entire class.
You're the means.
You are the means to this end. Okay? So I need you to be better means.
Yeah.
Okay?
I just need you to be better.
I need you to be better because I'm like 4 steps ahead. Not that I'm more. Not that I'm not. I'm not saying that I'm like some like fucking genius, but I know the script. That's what it is. It's a fucking performance.
It
They do the
is.
same thing every time. You should be ahead. This
Yeah.
is the 40th time we've seen the same movie.
Okay, I will say that
My
There-
heart rate is.
there are times where I will forgive it, like, because you can tell that there are times where if you haven't read the case, like, I can tell that you haven't read the case when you're like, so, you asked me one question, but let me tell you about this while I try to, like, read my notes and find the answer. I'm fine with that. Go you, okay? But if you, like, if I can tell that you know and you're just, like, spouting all of this bullshit that does not
Just
matter.
give me the fucking answer.
Also, that makes you look worse.
Yes.
You know what I'm
It's-
saying?
it's
Because
not a
you
good
can't-
look.
You can't
Yeah.
pull out the pertinent information. Like, nobody gives a shit about the backstory. Like, let's dive in. We don't have time for this. I'm trying to get out 7 minutes early.
Is that what you're gonna do on your final? You're gonna like type about the backstory? Hell no,
No.
I've spotted 14 issues already, and I'm like knee deep into negligence. Let's go.
And the alternative, absolutely do that because then that helps
Sure,
us
fuck,
3.
fuck you and the curve. But anyway, and that was my.
Okay. I think
Also, don't fucking ask. Oh my god. Sorry, I've already thought about that before. Sorry, the questions just really bother me when you ask a question that our you spend forever. Okay, one, you don't even know what question you're asking. You need to gather yourself up.
Attacked.
Yes, Frederick, you do this
I
sometimes.
feel very attacked.
You need to gather your thoughts and understand and be able to like cognize what you are asking before
Right.
you open your mouth.
Also, same note. I hate when people ask questions to, like, confirm their knowledge. Like, if you are ending a question with correct,
No,
Don't
you don't
do
do
that.
that. Don't do that. You
meet
write
me
the
after
question.
class and be ready to
Write the
swear.
question in your
I'm not
notes,
doing it
and then
anymore.
put a question mark in parentheses, and then go after to confirm.
Listen, this is not a
It takes
cross
1
examination. The professor is not a hostile witness. You are not allowed to use leading questions.
Just
Just
do
be
better.
better.
be best.
Like it. Love it. Oh, okay. Do you have what?
Okay, this is a very hot take, so I just need everyone to, like, leave preconceived notions at the door.
Just take a deep breath before you hear this.
Just like,
Yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it before I weigh in.
I'm gonna weigh in.
Yeah, I know you are.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say that it is not that hard to Google what is gonna be on a ballot. It is not that hard to, like, look up unbiased platform stances. So maybe, like, let's be better. I'm gonna push you to be better. I'm gonna push you to be an informed voter. And if you don't feel like you can do that, like on some level, maybe just don't vote. Like, let's think about that for a second. Because our country's fate is in your hands. And I only want it in informed hands.
Okay, have we thought about that for a second?
I'm a thoughtful person, so.
Yeah, so am I. Justin, what's your
Frederick, you
response?
can go first.
Oh,
I would just like to point out that this
let's-
podcast will be named Justin and Joy Attack Fred.
It's
for 52
literally
minutes.
not Justin and Joy attack Fred.
Oh,
it's
I'm glad.
Fred and Joy argue back and forth, and Justin has to find some middle ground to like piece together.
You should go into mediation.
I might. Fuck
You'd be a
yes.
great mediator.
Don't do that.
Listen,
You're not going
okay,
to
so my
I'll be an
response
arbitrator.
to Joy's ludicrous hot take, it's not so ludicrous, but
Okay.
I think that it, on its face, it seems like a good idea, but like a lot of ill-fated policies goes down the path of, who is that philosopher? His name was Plato, that's
Plato.
right. The guy
Fucking
who
hate
said
years.
that philosophers should rule because everyone else is an idiot, and only philosophers who are the smartest among us should be able to make decisions. And when you
I think
start
that's a
saying that if you're an
mischaracterization
uninformed
of my
voter,
argument.
or that it's on the onus of the burden is on the voter to find out exactly what is happening at all points, then that starts to go down that road.
Does it? Is me asking you to be informed really the same thing as me saying only? Because I'm not saying only smart people can vote. I'm not saying that only like college educated people can vote. I'm saying
Let's be real, college educated people aren't necessarily the smartest.
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that like I think that voting is a really big deal, and maybe you should consider it as such, and do your due diligence, and look at what you're actually voting for.
Now, I don't disagree with that, but I do think that inherently there are some measures on the ballot or some positions that are really hard to adequately understand. And,
I'm not saying understand them fully. I'm saying attempt.
there's several different measures on our ballot that are almost impossible to find out. And I did hours of research, and I was talking to my buddy who's been researching all of these for the past few months to try and figure out which way he'll vote. And
Yeah,
I had to go talk to one of my professors about it because
it's really
I
hard.
just could not understand it.
Yeah, and they title them like things that sound good, like
Yeah.
like the puppies and flowers amendment.
Or like
Yeah.
save the forest.
Yeah,
it's like, okay,
you're like,
great.
it's not
But
really
also like
That's what I'm saying.
increase your taxes by like 500%, so that like 2 cents of it can actually go to forest preservation. It's like, will it actually help? I mean, it's really hard to say that. So I think that's why it gets to be kind of hard when you say only informed voters should vote.
I'm just saying that you should. So taking that example, if let's say you have the puppies and flowers bill, if I'm an uninformed voter and I know nothing about what that bill is, and I'm like sitting there voting, I'm like, hell yeah, I love puppies and flowers, boom, and like I've literally just like fucked up.
Maybe
our-
you don't know. You don't know
Right,
what you've done.
literally, like you don't even know. That's what I'm saying. So like,
But
at
why
least-
why is that the voters' fault instead of the politicians' fault for putting in biased wording? I think it's more on the politicians who intentionally put in that biased wording.
Right, but how can we stop that? Like, that's not where we have power to.
That's not the argument we're having right now. The argument that we're having right now is that you should be an informed voter.
I think it's easier than ever to be an informed voter.
I
You
agree
have
with
Google.
that. Absolutely.
Well, just like
Google will pull that
social
shit up in
like
0.05 seconds.
like
No.
no. I mean, like with the prevalence of people using social media, they have access to information and a device where they can find information. I'm not
Okay,
saying social
great.
media is the best place to find
Do
information.
not figure out how to vote from Twitter, please.
Or Facebook.
Definitely not Facebook.
Definitely not Reddit.
You know, definitely.
T.
Okay. Are we good? Are we settled? That went way better than I thought it was going to.
This is coming out on Sunday, so if you're listening to this and you haven't voted,
Oh,
spend the 10 minutes to do a Google search and then go vote.
yes. You can go.
Vote in line.
You can go
Google
to
Mine.
votesaveamerica.org, type in your address, it'll give you everything that's on your ballot so you can look at it beforehand, know what you're going to vote for, you can research, all that stuff. Super fun.
Or if you're at our law school and you just want to talk about it, I love talking about.
No, do your own unbiased research.
Okay, I can be unbiased. I explain both sides of
You do
what's
a lot of
happening.
grandstanding.
I can't vote for Stacey
Okay.
Abrams. They know we're in Georgia.
Do they?
Yes.
Do they?
No, we're in Georgia. Vote for Stacey Abrams.
If you're in Texas, vote for Beta.
I
If you're in Tennessee,
Yes.
vote for. Oh, damn it! I forgot his name.
vote for Andrew Gillum if you're in Florida.
Yes, vote for
Florida.
Andrew Gillum in Florida. Vote blue. Just
Vote
just
blue.
vote blue.
Vote blue.
Vote blue. Take the house back. Okay, closing arguments.
You guys, when is the best time to celebrate Christmas?
Wait, can we before that? Can we do Halloween real quick? Because I'm still mad about Halloween.
Oh my God!
Yes.
You need to get over this.
Okay, this is not your podcast.
Listen, this is so our law school, not even our law school, our class, so the 1Ls decided they wanted to have a Halloween party at a bar. You know, it's fine, we're all adults. And the date for that party was when was it?
November 1st.
November 1st.
Okay, listen, it was a Thursday.
They know what
We
day
do bar
November
review
1st
on
is.
Thursdays.
And
What do you mean, and? It's a perfect time.
fuck that.
Oh,
It wasn't the
fuck you.
holiday. I'm still pissed about it. Wednesday was a perfectly viable day. It was actual Halloween.
People have Christmas parties not on Christmas.
I don't give a fuck about that. This isn't what we're talking about. That's not the argument.
Okay, but
The argument is Halloween is sacred and should be celebrated on.
Okay, but do you
Halloween.
throw out your pumpkins or throw out all of the Halloween related stuff on November 1st?
Yes.
No.
it's Christmas.
Yes, because it is Christmas.
Oh my! It's not okay. We need to introduce.
Which is a
this
perfect segue
argument before.
into Joy.
Jingle bells. Merry Christmas, preacher.
Okay, it's not Christmas time yet.
It is Christmas.
Why shouldn't it be Christmas time yet?
Okay,
Kendrick?
listen. So, while I acknowledge, my whole issue with celebrating Christmas
You have a lot of issues, Mr.
right after Halloween is twofold.
So you don't have an issue with celebrating Halloween at a different time?
Well, because there's no major.
I'm
there's
confused.
Okay, hold on. Let me explain.
Huh. Okay.
Before you pull your trickery. So first issue.
Am I being mansplained to?
A little bit.
First
There's a lot
issue
of
with
privilege
it.
going on right now.
I feel so attacked right now.
That's cute.
My first issue is that there are several big holidays before Christmas.
Like
What?
Namely,
There's one. Several is a mischaracterization. There is one.
strong disagree. Hanukkah is a major holiday too.
Does it come
So
before Christmas?
every year?
yeah, every single year.
If you celebrate Christmas, you probably don't celebrate Hanukkah.
Okay.
So
Anyways,
That's a valid argument.
yeah.
So this argument doesn't apply to.
I'm just saying.
In my
there-
brief. Anyways.
I'm just saying, if all of the media only celebrates Christmas from November 1st onwards, then you're blatantly ignoring all the other ones before it.
That's not
Namely,
true.
Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, while I acknowledge that it has a iffy history, it has a very good premise in that you bring your family together and that you have a night of giving thanks back. Now, I understand.
Christmas also does that?
No, Christmas is about giving presents to other people. It's very transactional. It's very
your family?
transactional.
It's to your family, though.
No.
Christmas
It's
is
not
about
just your family.
Jesus.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Tell that to the media.
God, I fucking hate when you grandstand. Okay, I would like to point out that there are certain holidays that are one day only. 4th of
Halloween?
July, one day only. Halloween's a season. It's like you go to haunted houses.
Now,
like you do
Halloween is a
Halloween
season.
related stuff.
Yeah, but on November 1st, All I Want for Christmas jumps back into the charts.
Okay.
It did.
It did. I know.
Don't talk to me about
Okay.
that.
Once
Okay,
again,
I'm sorry.
They're
I'm sorry.
one day holidays. Valentine's Day,
Mhm.
4th of July,
Mhm.
Memorial Day,
Mhm.
New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
One day holidays. Thanksgiving is a one day holiday.
So is
why-
Christmas, December 25th.
No,
every
Christmas-
single year.
Okay, does anybody say, oh, it's Thanksgiving season? No. They say it is Christmas
Okay, I'm sorry,
season.
but what type of oh goodness, what's the word?
How long is our Thanksgiving break?
How long is it?
3 days? How long is our Christmas?
Okay, that bothers me because it used to be.
A month.
Okay, is it Christmas break or is it winter
I
break?
call it Christmas break.
Okay, well, you're in the minority there. Actually, no, you're probably in the majority.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I
like-
would disagree with Christmas break over winter break.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. Thanksgiving is an American holiday.
Mm-hmm.
We're the only place that celebrates it.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere else in the world, Christmas is the next holiday.
Okay, I'm sorry that I'm an American and I
You should
celebrate
be.
Thanksgiving.
Fair. But once again, Thanksgiving is a day. We don't. So no one's celebrating Thanksgiving from November 1st.
There's no preparation that goes into Thanksgiving.
You're not like,
I
oh,
think
it's November
my
1st, it's
issue
time to
with-
baste my turkey. Like, no one fucking does
you
that.
don't get a tree the day before Thanksgiving, the day before Christmas, and like.
Okay, you gotta.
And,
If you want to
shop
do
one day
Thanksgiving right,
before.
you don't get that shit the day before. You don't get it the day of. You get it like a week before. You let
Okay.
it de-thaw. You like actually figure it out.
This means freeze. De-thaw means freeze. No, but I'm saying
Oh,
like
thaw, thank
Christmas, you like are like Christmas shopping. You go to like Christmas parties at like you're at work, and like you're visiting family at different times, and then you're like putting up the tree together. You're doing lights outside. Like there's all of these things that happen all during the season.
But I think that's
But,
I think that's
like-
a very American-centric way of viewing it. Because if you go to say Europe or you go to
I would just like to point out that you just jumped ships, and I want all of our listeners to realize that he was just like, but I'm American. But now,
No,
our
look.
our
That's a
argument
completely
is
different.
furthered.
That's completely
Shut
different
up.
to what
But
I'm
our
saying.
argument is furthered by the fact that like Christmas is
yeah,
something else in
So
Europe.
what we're gonna
But
do?
I think,
for-
well, that's my issue with what you're saying. If you're gonna say that, it's a whole season, and therefore we can jump over Thanksgiving, well, then you have to acknowledge that Thanksgiving's a holiday. But if you don't want to say that,
no, it's not like the people that are
But
like,
if
Christmas
you're
starts
saying-
November 1st is
like they don't also celebrate
yeah,
Thanksgiving.
like you're still celebrating Thanksgiving.
But if you then want to say that other countries in the world don't celebrate Thanksgiving, they celebrate they celebrate all the season, they don't. Take Germany for instance, where I know because
He didn't say they celebrated as a season. He said
He
that
said-
is the
he
next
said they
big
celebrate-
holiday. Nope.
I said
No,
it's
no,
next-
because I have
said
You
it's
said
American
it's a
next
season.
American.
You said it's a
No.
season.
No.
No.
You
No.
said
No,
there's
did
a
not.
whole
It's
thing
wrong
with
record.
Play the
with
tape
putting
back.
it. You put up the tree with your
They
with
don't
your
do
family.
trees
You go
over
to
there.
holiday parties.
They don't do trees over
They
there.
do
I'm talking
trees
about
in Germany.
America. Not in
You're-
Spain, they don't.
Okay, well, Spain's different.
Europe. They celebrate it much more as a religious holiday, where in America it is a capitalist holiday.
Yes.
Give me the presents. Do I get presents at Thanksgiving? No. The only big holidays
get the
are the ones where
presents
you get
of
presents.
Being
Christ.
together with your holiday. being together with your family.
Are you not with your family on Christmas?
I'm not going home for Thanksgiving.
I'm just saying, I think my issue is more of the intentions behind the holiday, because in Thanksgiving it's much more of a spend time with your family and be around the table together and enjoy time together. Whereas in Christmas, there is that time. It's a very pure holiday, but underlying that is a very capitalist intention of give everyone presents as much as possible so that you can, so you can show your love by giving people some good.
Black
you know?
Friday.
Is that why you bought Christmas tree cookies yesterday?
But also
I bought
Black
Christmas
Friday.
tree cakes because it's $179 for 5, and I just need to treat myself.
Okay. You can. We're the Thanksgiving turkey cakes.
I don't know, and I really want there to be some.
I think this is a good close.
Yeah.
So if you have a dog in the when does Christmas start fight, you can email us at badbreaches@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'd love to see you also on Twitter. Tweet us wherever Bad Breaches.
Everything's Bad Breaches. We now have an Instagram.
Yeah,
Yes.
we do. Instagram, follow us at
Um,
Bad Breaches.
Maybe we'll post some sneak peeks on there or something.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of work. And I
You
think
better not be
social media, so
posting
probably
one
not.
Thanksgiving plate though if you're gonna pull this
We're,
Christmas
That's a
celebrations.
good end of the episode. Bye.
Bye.